gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Do I know what's going to happen? No, I'll guess.
We win one tomorrow. That's called a winning streak.
All right, I'm not a fucking. Like, this is my fucking way. This is how I win.
Adapt to die.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome into another episode of the A+ Sports League podcast, Golf Edition. We've got the 2021 Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill Country Club. Remember to rate, review, share the podcast. I'm your host, Matty Maitai. With me, as always, is Chris O'Neill. What's happening, Chris?
What's going on, Matt? I love the energy. Last week, obviously, had to record separately. And the first thing that my brother, Pat, said to me was, Chris, you don't have the energy that Matt has when you kick off the show. So, note to self, if we ever got to do it again, I got to throw the what's happening. That's the A+ thing. But
That's our signature. You got to do it, man.
that's how you know it's us. What a tournament.
Yeah.
Right?
Wild one. I mean, I think we didn't really expect a lot going into this. We didn't know what to expect, at least, but it ended up being a very crazy tournament with a lot of guys in contention at the end.
I think that course needs to be on the PGA schedule. The volatility, especially at the top, you don't know whether the guy's going to make a birdie or whether he's going to make a triple bogey.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And there were certain holes where you saw those collection points that I know we both sort of talked about just come into play and just destroy people. I mean, Victor Hovland doesn't get a quad on his 18th hole. He wins.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 4 strokes, and he lost who's greenside too. I mean, the volatility was awesome. It was fun to watch. People were moving up and down the leaderboard. We hit. I hit.
Chris hit. He had Morikawa as the outright play. He also put a little bet on it with his brother. So good win, Chris.
Yeah, nothing beat that on Sunday. It's just knowing that you're in on the bet with a couple other people and you're rooting for the same guy. You're all pulling together. The phone's blowing up with text messages, and yeah, it was fun.
Me and you both had a good DraftKings week as well. It was good for the podcast. It was a very exciting tournament. I do think they should put it on the tour more. I don't know what they'd replace on the tour, but
I don't know. I think the WGC like pissed though, because
people in Mexico. Oh God.
No, it's not the people in Mexico that we worried. It's the fact that every single Euro Tour golfer sucked ass this week. They were terrible. I mean, the bottom 25, the Rob McIntyre's, Rasmus Højgaard, the Victor Perez's, they just couldn't compete. I mean, this was a PGA leaderboard. This wasn't a WGC leaderboard. You're not playing on international turf.
I think
they lost their advantage.
I think that might have to do with COVID, though. I mean, guys coming overseas and they kind of had a quarantine and transition, all that. Maybe not. Maybe it was just the fact that it's in Florida and not in Mexico. But I think it was, a good tournament altogether. Hey, Victor Hovland came in second. He's a Euro, kind of, not really.
Yeah, he's on the PGA Tour, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is Connor, Herbert, Sullivan, Richie, Højgaard, Valkyrie, Cantor, Kennedy, Westwood, McIntyre. Like, all these guys down here at the bottom, you just go all the way up until you hit Harris English.
Yeah.
Wolf.
All right, well, let's review last week with our picks. Chris had Morikawa as an outright, like we said, so that was his pick. I had Xander Schauffele as my outright. He came T39. That wasn't great. Top 10, Chris had Sungjae Im.
Swings.
Came in 28th. I bet him. He looked good after the first day, Chris, -4, but he
He
just
actually looked good until Sunday, and he just couldn't move on Sunday.
Yeah,
He
it's-
wound up even on the day. If he had dropped a couple of strokes, maybe he's sniffing the top 10.
I mean, he just didn't make enough birdies. And I think, Sungjae took 2 weeks off, which is a long time for him. He jumped back. I think he got, the rust off the wheels, and he'll be back this week. Webb Simpson was my top 10. He came T6. That was a nice little win there.
Top 10 streak right now.
Yeah. I do the top 10s bets just to offset my outright losses a lot of the time. So it's been working. Sleeper Chris had Andy Sullivan almost last. It's the
I
place
didn't
in
put a
here.
number in for him. I mean, he was one of the first guys to tee up. I think it was the rabbit Sunday.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It should have been Hogarth. My sleeper was Billy Horschel, T2. He was in contention the whole time, just couldn't move on Sunday. He literally just watched Morikawa fade away and everyone else kind of catch
I'll
him.
tell you what, he looked like he was going to snap his clubs about 5 to 10 times on that back nine. Just simple little, I don't know what it's his intensity or what. He's just a very intense looking guy. And when things weren't going his way and he put it in the woods, I think on 16 or like right on the edge of the woods, and he kind of had to chip out, and he knew the tournament was like, I thought he was going to lose his freaking mind. But yeah, good for Billy Horschel.
He seems like a guy that would do the putter throw into the lake.
Yeah. We love him in Florida. That was a great pick.
Yeah.
We both faded Tony Finau out of the top 10, so I guess it's a hit. He finished 14th. And we were both on Harris English at 7K, and he was brutal.
54th, not good.
He was one of those guys that made the quad, or maybe was it a quint? Was it a 9?
No, you got a 9, but it was a par 5, so you got a
Okay.
quad.
Yeah.
Brutal.
The 6K golfer, I had Gary Woodland. He was a very volatile golfer too. He was up and down. He went +6 on Sunday, so it didn't really help his finishing position. But he did score decently well in DraftKings. He was good on the middle days on Friday and Saturday. You had Abe Answer, which T18. That's exactly what you want.
He just kind of churned along. He was never really in contention, but he was never getting the quads. He just, casually birdie, casually bogey, do your thing. So that was good.
And the one and done, I went Rory. Rory, to me, had a higher floor, and not sure why I didn't put Morikawa in this position, but got a T6 out of him, and you got your T6 out of Webb, which is good enough money for a one and done.
Yeah, wasn't bad. I was a little disappointed in Webb because he kind of just faded on Sunday. He was third going into it, so it is what it is. But 6 is still good money, so we can't complain. And I think we had a pretty good week with our picks, Chris.
Yeah, I think so too.
A few good weeks in a row.
Yeah, I was happy with the DraftKings performance too. I think it was I went through a couple of different strategies for how to build your DraftKings lineup about, pick a lane and stay in it. And for me, it was, ball strikers and PGA Tour guys, and not try to dip in, don't try to be cute with some of the Euros. And it definitely paid off for me.
Good. Very good.
So,
all right, let's jump over to a course now that we at least know. And it feels like we're finally getting back into the PGA Tour a little bit. We don't have an event that has any weird shot tracker problems. We don't have an event we know nothing about. The Genesis was really the first one, but finally, I think, back into the Florida swing. So, Chris, you want to give us a little preview of the Arnold Palmer Invitational?
Yeah, we're at Bay Hill Golf Club, something we're all familiar with. They've been playing the tournament here for a number of years. It's in Orlando, Florida. It's going to be nice and warm. Par 72 course, 7,400 yards. You got Bermuda grass. It's Tifway Bermuda. That's what it was originally seeded as. It's going to have wide fairways. There's water. It's going to come into play on a ton of holes. There's some tricky shots. There's going to be a lot of sand there. Past winners here, the last 3 include Terrell Hatton, Rory, Molinari. If you go back even further than that, you're going to see Leishman, you're going to see Jason Day, and Matt Every, Tiger Woods are some of the names that pop up. But Matt Every won this twice.
That's
back
wild.
To back. Yeah. He's Mr. Tin Cup to me. When I see Matt Every, I remember like a 16 he might have made on one hole where he just kept putting every ball he had into the water. But yeah, so that's it. The thing that will stand out when you're looking at the past winners, though, a lot of international names on that list. Matt Every and Tiger Woods are the only Americans to win it in the past 15 years. So when you're coming up with a strategy, trying to identify people that are going to win, that's going to be something that we'll talk about. The winning scores, it was 4 under last year when Terrell Hatton won, but it was super windy there, very challenging conditions. And here, Terrell Hatton was the first golfer in a long time since Ogilvy, I think, at the U.S. Open 15, 20 years ago, whenever the hell he won it, to win by posting 2 scores over par on the weekend. So that was just it's an outlier, but it, with Terrell Hatton winning, that's indicative of the type of player that's going to win here. So the field is pretty good for this event. It's not as good. This is kind of like an in-between event because we had the Riviera, which has turned into one of the premier events on the West Coast. We have the WGC event that gets the top 50 golfers in the world, and then next week we have the Players. So if you're playing all 4 of those, that's like boom, 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 boom. So this is a week off for some of these players.
Yeah, it's a tough run of tough courses that a lot of guys want to play, but you can't play 5 events in a row. So you kind of pick your choose, the ones you want, and API just wasn't on the list for a lot of people. And I think you're going to see a lot of those Euros and past winners show up because they know they can do well here, and they're not worried about form for the players.
Yeah, this is a course that definitely rewards course history. I think that the past winners here have traditionally done pretty well with top 5s, top 20s in the past. So if you look at old leaderboards and some of the success that people have had here, you're going to, maybe find your winner looking at that batch of players.
I think course form is definitely prevalent here more than most courses.
So I used this a lot when I was course comping and trying to find some success for people at concession. So what do we make of the concession comp here? Because 16 at the concession is going to play a lot like 6 at Bay Hill. It's that C-shaped par 5, par 4 concession where you basically just aim as far left as you trust yourself to hit the ball. And with Bryson, that could be from the tee box to the green, right? I mean, he could just get a.
Oh yeah, I'm curious to see who's going full tin cup on that hole. It's definitely going to be a good comp. I think a lot of these Florida courses, I kind of grouped a lot of them together. I know you have Torrey Pines, Shadow Creek, and some others. I did some of those course comps in one filter, and then I did just the Florida swing, and I included the concession with that because I think the concession should be factored in, especially since it was last week. But it is a similar style of course, and it plays similar to Honda as well, which you like to comp the API to as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think we need accurate people off the tee box, and that was definitely Morikawa last week. I mean, that guy was just stoned off the tee box. Any sort of challenge that he was going to have, he stuck it. And I think we're going to need to see that this week because of the sand, because of the water, and people can make big numbers here. We've seen that on a couple of times last year. I don't know whether it was the wind or what, but you get in a little bit of trouble with some water, you're making a double bogey on a hole like immediately. So I think the greens will play fast and firm here, so you're going to need good putters. And when we look at some of the information on the course breakdown, there's 4 par 3s over 200, and the majority, almost 30% of the approaches, are from 200 plus on this course.
Mm-hmm.
So you need people to hit long irons. That's going to be a priority when we're putting together our stat models.
It's very interesting because the par 3s are very long, similar to the concession last week, all in the 200 to 225 range. But the par 4s aren't crazy. They're 4 to 450 for 4 holes, and then 450 to 500 for 4 holes. So I'm curious to see why there's so many 200 plus proximity shots. Maybe it's just the par 5s are so big.
Or it's controlled tee shots, right? I mean, if you're trying to avoid the water, maybe you're laying up, maybe you're going a 3-wood off the tee, or maybe you're going with a long iron. You're trying to go 250, 200 into these 450 holes.
Yeah, exactly. It might just be a lot of forced layups and these hazards, but the plus 200 yard shots on this course exceed the tour average, so it's going to be a key stat to follow. And I think long hitters are going to be very important here. Shots gained par 5. I mean, these are just some of the stats that have made up my model. You want to go into the models, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So when we do a custom stat model for those who don't have access to Fantasy National, which is a handful of people I know that are watching this, is that we can weight things, any data that they have on the golfers. So it's strokes gained on proximity, strokes gained on opportunities gained, strokes gained on GIRs. Who's the best GIR guy in the field? Who's the best approach guy or putter or ball striker? Who's the best at birdies? And we take these numbers and we can assign a weight to them. So for off the tee numbers this week, I can give it about 5% of my stat model, and I can put 20% on approach because I'm going to want long iron hitters. And then I'll take proximity from 200 plus, and I'll put about 10% on that. And then when I sort this out and it filters, it'll rate our golfers for us. So Matt and I each put together a stat model. Mine is going to favor a little bit more of the ball strikers. Matt, do you want to go into some of the categories that you picked?
Yeah, so this week, as Chris had mentioned and I just talked about, distance is key, but approach game is definitely more important. So I put shot gained off the tee, shots gained approach, a little bit of putting just because I like to have it in there. Shots gained par 5, par 3s 200 to 225, par 4s 400 to 450, 450 to 500, proximity 200 plus, and proximity 150 to 175. And I kind of weighted them all differently. Approach, proximity plus 200 were the biggest ones in either event. That spit out a list, and here's the top 10. I have leading off Will Zalatoris, Victor Hovland, Tyrell Hatton, Sam Burns, Bryson DeChambeau, Cameron Tringale, Matthew Neesmith, Corey Connors, Max Homa, and Cam Davis at number 10. And I really like a lot of those guys. Before I even made the stat model, Chris, 3 or 4 of these guys I was looking at as outright bets. I mean, Sam Burns, we'll get it to it, but that's a guy I really like this week. So.
Yeah, Sam Burns had a great stretch in California, and now he's going to get back onto his preferred surface. I mean, he's a Bermuda guy. He plays very well in Florida. That's where he's had his career success so far. I can see a lot of people going to Sam Burns, and you know what? He got priced back down.
Yeah.
Right? He's at 8,400 this week, which is kind of where you'd expect a good Sam Burns to be. So
I think it's a combo of him choking at the Genesis and then just not playing last week, so he kind of faded out of people's minds a little bit. And I think there's some value there.
All right, I'm going to go through my top 10. There's a little bit of overlap. Actually, there's a good amount of overlap with some of the names that you've had. I have Hovland, Hatton, Tringali, Max Homa, Norlander, Connors, Burns, Neesmith, Zalatoris, and been hot of late. Last 24 rounds, number 10 in my model is Charlie Hoffman.
Charlie Hoffman's 12 in mine. Yeah, we have a very similar model, and then I think that kind of reassures our assumptions on Chris doing a different type of ball strikers and proximity ranges, and then I did my custom stat model. We didn't even talk to each other about this, and we spit out 8 or 9 of the same names.
Well,
So
what's going to happen is we're looking at a narrower skill, a narrower window, right? We want people that are playing well recently. So when I'm looking at my model and yours as well, it's the last 24 rounds, right?
Correct.
So it's people that have been playing well in the last 3 months. So it's the names that we've seen at the top of the leaderboard. And one of those ones that I really like this week, I don't know if we want to break this down by DraftKings pricing, but Cameron Tringali's been ball striking like crazy.
yeah, well, we can get into it too. I think this was just to give you a preview of who was in our model, and then I think we can talk about some of the outright plays in the DraftKings.
All right, so let's sort by salary, and we'll go down. So we have 5 names right now that are at 10,000 plus in the DraftKings, and it's Rory McIlroy leading the way, Bryson DeChambeau, Hovland, Reed, and Tyrrell Hatton reigning champ. So the biggest thing that stands out to me on this is that you're getting Tyrrell Hatton, who rates up higher in my stat model, has wins on tour more recently, and is the reigning champion here at $1,500 less than Rory McIlroy. What do you make of that?
I mean, I really like Hatton. He's high in my stat model, but it's hard to fade Rory at the same time because Rory has won this event and I think comes top 5 almost every year when he's here. So while I do think Hatton is good value, I think going up against Rory, especially at this kind of event, is very difficult. I mean, last 4 times Rory's been here, 5th, 6th, 1st, 4th. It's not like he's a pushover. And I know he hasn't been playing well, but
He's still been playing well, just hasn't been winning.
No, but he dominates this course, so I think he's definitely someone I'm going to be using. But yes, I would rather use Hatton over Bryson. And Bryson has decent form and good course history here as well. But I like Hatton better.
Bryson needs to play a tournament without a blow-up round.
Yeah.
He blew up round 1 this past week as well. And then he came back and shot 8 under on day 2. So if you're a showdown person, he's automatic plug and play for round 2. Whatever issues he has on Thursdays, he'll typically figure it out on Thursday night at the driving range until about 10 o'clock at night. But
whatever day he has a bad round, play him the next day.
No, but he can't. He's not getting himself to the top of the leaderboards early, and that's really sort of handcuffing him for the rest of these tournaments. That's 2 in a row that we've seen this.
He has great course history here, though. 446 and second in his last 3 trips out. So who knows? I'm probably not going to use him at 11K. He's 12-1 in the betting market as well, which is second next to Victor Hovland and Rory McIlroy. So
yeah, we need people that can stay safe off the tee, and I haven't trusted his driver. When it's on, it's on. But we've seen it can go awry from round to round, and you need 4 good rounds here to compete. Speaking
of 4 good rounds, Victor Hovland. I mean, how do you not play the guy? He's second, 5th, and second his last 3 trips out in general. I mean, it's amazing what he's doing, and his around the green game is still as bad as it always has been. Have you seen that +4? I think was a decent indication of it.
You take that hole out of there, and he's good. He's good. I'm watching him on one of the last couple of holes. He's up against the bushes on the par 5, and he's able to chip out. Yes, it's a little lucky that he put it in the right spot, but that's still good iron control. It's good decision making. He had the hybrid out.
Did you see the shot that got him to the bush?
Yeah, that was an approach shot. He was still able to get up and down from there for a birdie.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, he's getting better for sure, but he's still not great. It's the only category he's lost in each of the last 4 tournaments. So he's getting better than he was last year, but it's still something that he needs to work on. But other than that, he's the best ball striker on the field. I mean, by far.
Yeah, I like Victor Hovland. He's going to win. He's going to continue to win.
Is he going to be chalky?
Yes, I think so.
I think people gravitate to him.
Fans have seen him at the top of leaderboards the past several weeks. He's a hot name, and I mean, we've had the conversation before. We're trying to rank the 5 young guns here. Some people still put, despite how last week finished, Victor Hovland above COLIN MORIKAWA. COLIN MORIKAWA's throwing darts.
I think they're 1-2 for sure.
Yeah.
There's no argument on Scotty Scheffler and Matthew Wolff.
But even Scheffler made a little bit of a charge.
He did.
On Sunday.
He did.
He got himself into the top 6. 8 outside. He had a double bogey too. on the back nine. I mean, without that, he's competing in second place.
You keep saying without. I feel like that's just that course though. Like everyone's going to pull that big number. I mean, Morikawa didn't. That's why he won. But everyone had one or two bad holes out there. Scheffler looked good. I think the person that's going to get overlooked here for sure in this range is Patrick Reed. I think he'll be the least owned guy if you ask me.
Yeah, he always seems to. He just doesn't generate the same buzz. He is 30.
People hate him.
Yeah, well, yeah, 31st in my model. But he's somebody that when he's winning, when he's playing well, he's riding hot putters and hot around the green game. And when he does that, he's unstoppable.
Yeah. I mean, comp course was Farmers, which he won
Yeah.
a month ago. And I mean, he was at the WGC Mexico, gained 5.3 on approach. That's good. I mean, his putter obviously has been hot. He just hasn't been losing strokes anywhere. First and ninth in his last 2 times out. Not great course history here, though. Best finish 7th and 15th out of 5 trips.
And I'm looking, he's 91st in the model in 175 to 200, and he is 64th over 200 yards. So,
yeah.
That's
not good.
This is a long iron course, maybe it doesn't suit Patrick Reed well. It hasn't in the past, but he's top 3 in birdies about a gain and putting. So I mean, he's a scorer.
Yeah, he's a scorer, and I think if anything, it might be a pivot play on some ownership, or if you're trying to squeeze in someone cheaper and you can't afford Rory or Bryson or Hovland. So
all right, let's look at the 9K guys. We have a handful of them down here. A couple of names that we definitely like. We have Matthew Fitzpatrick leading the way at 9,800. Sungjae Im, Hideki Matsuyama. Jordan Spieth, still in the 9Ks. Jason Day, past winner. And Paul Casey.
And don't forget Tommy Fleetwood. Fleet sticks, baby.
Yeah. All right. The other thing that stands out to me about this is one American in the 9K range.
Yeah, that's wild. I didn't even notice that.
Right?
Jordan Spieth.
There are some names that would be like, we had a conversation about this literally like right before we hit record about how much we love Matthew Fitzpatrick this week. And I thought it was going to go that way. And you were off of him.
It's not that I'm off of him, but I think he's overpriced here, to be honest. I mean, I know he's had great form. He's good on Bermuda. He's a guy that can compete with this type of field. But at 9,800, I would just rather pivot to Hatton, Reed, or go down to him personally. I mean, your favorite in this range is Fitzpatrick, and my favorite in this range is him. So it's not that I don't like him. I would just go somewhere else.
He's got great course history. He came in second here 2 years ago, another top 10 last year. He was 13th in 2017. I like his form. He's got two top 10s in his first 2 starts here in the U.S. He had a 5th at the Riviera last week.
Yeah, he had 11th. Yeah, two good starts to the American swing, and he has great course history. And he's probably the best putter in the field, especially on Bermuda. So I get why you're on him. I get why a lot of people are on him. For DraftKings purposes, I probably won't. Maybe I'll put a bet in on him.
You wouldn't want to start your lineup there? If you were going to start with Terrell Hatton and Matthew Fitzpatrick, wouldn't you just start with Fitzpatrick and save a little bit of the money? I feel like his form's been a little bit better.
No, I'd probably do Hatton, to be honest. Hatton, I mean, he shows up in my model, but the thing for me, for Hatton, number 1 in proximity 200 plus, Chris, over the last 24 rounds. 7th in approach. I mean, it's just 5th in ops gain. He just kind of hits all the check marks that I want. And Fitzpatrick hasn't been bad. He's been doing well on the par 4 scoring, and obviously he has a great short game. His approach hasn't been bad either. But for $200, I'm going to Hatton over Fitzy.
Okay, good. I see that. Another Englishman, Paul Casey. Any love there? 4th in the model at 200 plus. And one thing that I added to mine, just because of how challenging and how much trouble you can get into, is bogey avoidance. And he's 1st in the field last 24 rounds in bogey avoidance. And he had a win on the Euro Tour.
Yeah.
Which it's not included in these stat numbers.
It is not included in these stat numbers. He did do well in the Euro Tour, and he took a break. He wasn't at the WGC last week. He was the only player outside of injured Tiger Woods, RIP. He was the only one in the field of the top 50 golfers in the world that wasn't there. Free payday. Just was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go play at the API. So I think he is kind of focused in, and I think he is a smart play. I think at 9,100, he's good value. He's 16th in my model. He's not bad. I really like that play at 9,100.
Okay. Somebody who I'm not going to, who I thought blindly without looking at too much. Yes, I know he's been struggling recently, but his last 24 measured rounds that we have here is Tommy Fleetwood, 107th in my model. I expected that to pop a little bit higher, especially with these course comps and knowing that he's got the players coming up next week. Seeing where his game's at, but he had a very, very tough WGC. Hasn't been playing great. Doesn't really pop. Doesn't stand out anywhere in my model. And at 9,000, I'm going to be staying away from Tommy Fleetwood this week.
So real quick, I filtered by the Florida swing. I just took all the Florida courses, PGA West, players. So I took Sawgrass. I took
PGA National.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said PGA West. Sorry, PGA National. I took Sawgrass. I took the concession. I took everything from the Florida swing, including Bay Hill. And I did last 36, last 24, last 12. I want to see how people were trending on the Florida courses. So over the last 36, Fleetwood was second. Over the last 24, he was first. And then over the last 12, he dropped all the way down to ninth. So I think Fleetwood used to crush these courses, but he's been struggling on those courses in particular, but with the tour in general. So I'm with you fading him. So in my head, when I looked at it, I'm like, Fleetwood should be good here. We took him at the Players a couple years ago. He looked great. Like, I feel like if he's going to win, it's in Florida, but I don't think I'm going to play him in DraftKings this week.
His last top 5 was a third at the Honda pre-COVID. Since then, he has had one tournament, the Masters, in the top 20, and he came in 19th.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's missed cuts, 60th, 35th. Just not playing that great. So, yeah, I can see people staying away from Tommy Fleetwood this week.
Okay. I want to jump to a guy that I love in this range, and I'm going to be betting him. I already found the number at 22.5 to 1, and that's, we'll see what my book actually opens up at, but that's the number I like here. And that is Sungjae Im. I love Sungjae Im in his only 2 trips here, third and third, Chris. That's not bad for, at the time, I think he was 19 when he first played here, and it's not that easy of a course. His recent form has been a little up and down. 28th last week, 17th at the Waste Management, 32nd, 12th, 56th, and 5th. So that's been the start to his year. It's not been like consistently one thing. One week he'll be good at shots gained approach. The next week, good at shots gained putting. Next week, good at shots gained off the tee. If he just gets it all together, Chris, I think he can win this tournament pretty easily, and he has great course history. Whenever I see Bermuda grass, just 3 people I think of: Rory, Webb, and fucking Sungjae. So I'm going to be playing Sungjae a lot. As you said, if I'm looking at Fitzpatrick, I'd rather just save 100 and go to him, personally.
Definitely.
And I think he's good value in the 20s.
I love Sungjae Im this week. He might be my one and done. I trust him on Florida. He took 2 weeks off to start this Florida swing because he knows he's playing pretty much every single tournament around here. Very strong with his irons. He actually has been approaching under his career average his last 5 tournaments, but that was some of those ones out on the West Coast. Didn't do as great. He actually lost 2.5 strokes on approach this past weekend, but he's putting strong. Bermuda is far and away his best surface, and this is the type of course that if he stays out of trouble off the tee, which he's been known to do, he's a very strong off the tee player. I think that Sungjae Im is definitely going to be at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and actually now that we're kind of talking about it, I looked at the odds. Sungjae's 22.5 to 1. Paul Casey and Matt Fitzpatrick are both 25 to 1. So what that tells me is Im is a little bit more valued in the betting market than Fitzpatrick, which I like. But Paul Casey is way undervalued in the DraftKings market according to the betting odds. He's at 9,100, but in the board he should be between Fitzpatrick and Im. So yeah, I do like that Casey play even more now. You know who else is right there? Louis. Oh, fuck. I don't even see Louis in here. Where is he? 8,800. Okay, well.
Billy Horschel. That's a good transition for the 8K guys right now.
Do you want to talk about any of the others, or all guys were kind of not? I mean,
Jason Day, I think people can go to. He's withdrawn his last couple of times here, so I don't know if that's a trust thing. He's done decent recently. He didn't do too bad in Mexico. He lost on approach, but was pretty strong around the greens, that's going to help you at a course like that where everyone was sucking around the greens.
Yeah, all right.
I don't really care too much about the Pebble Beach stuff. He's decent on Bermuda. I think he might be a little bit overpriced given some of the current form stuff here. The 7th of the AT&T Pro-Am. I mean,
that's his course. That's his
course, and it was a weak field. Before that, it was miscut.
All right.
So,
let's jump down to the 8Ks. We start off with Billy Horschel at 8,900. We got Louis, Molinari, Zalatoris, Homa, Burns, English, Leishman, Kokrak, Kisner, Kevin Nod, 8,000. Rounding it out.
Why don't you just go right now? The thing that jumps out to me is Zalatoris, Homa, Burns, all right in a row, all in the top 10 of my model. And if you look at the Riviera comp, which is probably where why these guys are shining so brightly down here. Yeah, you could hit those guys in the 85, 84, and 86, 100 range, and you could do pretty well. I mean, all those guys, they gain on approach. Every single one of those guys is a very strong ball striker, good birdies, better game. The thing where Max Homa actually is a cut above the rest is around the green, too. So if he doesn't hit his approaches, recently he's just been fantastic. Very strong birdie maker. Sam Burns, we forgot about it because we didn't see him last week, and he backed up at Riviera. I mean, he's been playing some of the best golf of his career, and he's a Florida guy, right? So I feel like, he's somebody that will be in a while. He'll be very chalky at this range.
Oh, he'll 100% be chalky. He's also going to be a darling in the betting market. He's 45-1. I already put a bet in on him. I've loved Sam Burns, and the 1 week that I took him in our one and done, he burned me, no pun intended, and just missed the cut at WGC. But I think Bermuda is definitely his strongest surface to work on, and he is a Florida kid, so the local thing is good there. He's also great on par fives, which is key here. So he's good for the stat model. He's good for the narrative. He's good on the greens. 45-1 is a great value. And I think 8,400 in the betting or the DraftKings market as well.
So the good news with Sam Burns is the last 3 times that he played the API, he made the cut. The bad news is he lost tee to green every single time, and he lost around the green. So historically, he's not a great around the green player, but in his last 5 rounds, he is well above his career average. So 3 times better around the greens than he has been in the past. And he's gaining almost 2 strokes on approach every round he's going out there.
I think Sam Burns has evolved his game since, from a couple of years ago, because he used to just be a putter, and he's really worked at lengthening off the tee. Not quite as much as Bryson, but similar to Bryson, he focused on it. And I think that's going to help him on his shots game off the tee and approach. Around the green game is a little bit better. I think it's a kind of a Victor Hovland situation where he'll be good everywhere but that. So I think the recent form of 339, 22, and 18 in his last 4 is very good, and I think this is a course that he can compete. And at this value, it's great.
Yeah, if you're going with a balanced build, I don't see why you can't just pick 3 names from this range in there, and then let the rest of the chips fall where they want. If that's the golfer profile that you're looking for, you want to build around strong ball strikers. If you start with the Sam Burns Homa combo or Burns Homa Zalatoris combo, I don't think you can go wrong here.
Do we want to talk about Horschel? I mean, T2 last week, great Florida guy. It's a guy that I really liked last week. I don't know why I wouldn't be going back to him after a great performance. And now he's at the API where he's never missed a cut. I mean, he's never done better than 13th, but he's never missed a cut. So
yeah, winners historically at this course have had top 20 finishes, and he's got a couple of those under his belt right now. And yeah, we do trust him in Florida more than any other area of the country. So yeah, you can go back to Billy Horschel if you want. I feel like he's priced up because of last week's performance a little higher than I'd like to see him. I like him kind of in the low 8s range. So I don't know if you're getting a ton of value on him here. He's not the greatest on approach. He had a very strong putting week last week. He's money on the greens.
Mm-hmm.
But the last time he gained on approach last week at WGC Mexico. Before that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tournaments in a row, he lost on approach. And if we want strong iron play, I don't know if he can continue what he was doing last week. Hopefully it's a good trend, but he gained across the board there.
Yeah, he's a good putter, and it might have gotten to his head that he went to a playoff, or not to a playoff. He went into the final grouping on Sunday and just couldn't get anything going. So who knows? I think a good pivot play from there would actually be Francesco Molinari, who last 4 tournaments of the year since the start of the 2021 season, 8th at the Amex, 10th at the Farmers, 59th at the Pro-Am, and 8th at Genesis. So he has 3 top 10s out of 4 events so far. And, oh, look at that. Last time he was at the API, won the event. So, I mean, he's a guy that good form and course history. He's got a 1, a 7, a 9, a 5, a 26 here. So it's $200 cheaper. It's not bad. He doesn't really fit the longer hitter profile that we're going for, but.
Molinari's been good. He's stateside now. We trust him. He's 7th in the model right now in bogey avoidance, and he's starting to get himself priced up a little bit higher. We had him in the 7Ks for a while. He was in the high 6s. I mean, his game really bottomed out in 2020, the end of 2019 and 2020. But it's coming back. He had those top 10s we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like Molinari.
Nice. Even in the lower 8 Kings, I think I'm going to be doing a lot of balanced builds this week because just off of course history narrative and comp courses, Leishman and Kokrak look good. and they're 82 and 81. So I like those guys as well. It's a great range. The 8Ks are strong this week.
Yeah, definitely. I can be pulling a number of names from down here. Ready to jump into the sevens?
Yeah, let's go to the 7K. We have Taylor Gooch starting away at 7,900.
You skipped over Cam Davis.
Well, there's both 7,900. Taylor was on my top one. Taylor Gooch, 7,900. And then we got Cam Davis, Fowler, Justin Rose, Lanto Griffin, Tringale, Lowry, Hoffman, the Zudenhout, Siwoo Kim, and Brandon Grace gets us down to 7,500. Anyone you like in that range, Chris?
First one off the bat is Cam Davis. Fantastic ball striker. He's 7th off the tee. He's 5th in birdies better gain on his last 24 rounds. And being a coastal course, this course gets a lot of wind. He's a very, very good wind player. He fits the international profile. Past winners here have come from Australia. We've had Day, we've had Leishman. I think that his game is coming into form. He hasn't, played. Let's see, what's his best performance here in the past? Yeah, he hasn't played the API before, so it doesn't really fit the course history narrative. But his best performances of his career came in January with a 3rd at the Amex. He came in 6th at the Sanderson Farm in the fall, and then before that was an 8th at Honda. Right, so
Good form.
He's done well at Florida courses, and he's playing his best golf of his career right now. I don't see how I'll be staying away from Cam Davis. I like him this week.
Nice. I like Cam Davis as well. That's a good call. I like Justin Rose in this range. He's 7,800. He doesn't pop in my stat model. He's kind of been up and down throughout the rest of this start of 2021, but he's 70-1 in the betting market. And if we just look at the course history here for Justin Rose, he has 2/3, a 2nd, a 13th, a 9th, a 15th. He missed the cut in his last time out here, but I know last season Justin Rose had a lot of struggles. But I mean, it's more of a gut feeling and going to past form and, little course history more than recent form. But even in recent form, I believe he had a 2nd over on the Euro Tour in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or one of the two.
Oh, yeah.
So
I like Justin Rose to be playing.
I just think he's 7,800. It's just good value down here for a tournament that's not like overly strong. So that's probably my favorite in this play. Taylor Gooch, not bad either. Anyone else you like in this range a little?
I'm going to stay away from Siwoo Kim this week.
Yeah.
I don't know why. He's coming off of a win a couple of weeks ago. He's one of the players, good Florida course guy, and he's 23rd in my model.
I'm staying away.
You're going to stay away from him. What about Puerto Rico Open winner Brandon Grace?
No.
No?
I don't think there's a guy on tour I dislike playing more than Brandon Grace.
Just because he's burned him? I mean,
I know. I just feel like he shows up for like the shittiest of shit events, and you're like, oh, Brandon Grace, he's still good. And then he goes to a PGA Tour event and misses like 5 straight cuts.
Yeah. I think it was, I'm looking at his past performance outside of the win at the Puerto Rico. He won in 2016, which I know you and I weren't on golf as much as we are right now, but it must have been after the Waste Management in 2019. He had the 2nd there, and then what did he follow that up with? Yeah, 28th at the AT&T, and I think we might have wanted to play him at the Genesis, and then boom, this cut. They completely fell off.
We don't-
There, so we don't have to
Talk about Brandon Grace.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember where it is because I have the same conversations with him too. I'm like, oh wow, he's great. And then we played him, and he didn't work out for us.
He can go play on the Euro Tour.
We have numbers. All right, let's look at the low 7K range. I'm not going to name everybody here, guys, because we got about 20 of them. But we start with Emiliano Grillo, Matt Jones, Adam, Corey Connors, and Ian Poulter, Brendan Todd, and we go all the way down to JT Poston, Arnold Stenson, and Wyndham Clark. One of the names that I skipped over in this range. He was fantastic his last time out. 2nd, guy that I like, strong putter, Maverick McNeely.
Yeah.
I think his game is definitely coming into form. Okay. He's played the Arnold Palmer Invitational twice. He missed the cut last year, but he played it about 4 years ago. Made the cut. I know he's a California guy. I know he's more of a putter than Bermuda, but just the way he was striking the ball the last couple of times out, I do like Maverick McNeely in this range.
All right. Maverick McNeely. I'm really liking Henrik Norlander in this range. He only has 1 trip to the Arnold Palmer, and he missed the cut. But his recent form, he missed the cut at Genesis, 26th at AT&T, 22nd at Waste Management, and 2nd at Farmers, which we like to comp to. He's just good on the approach, and he's good off the tee. His short game's bad, but his best surface is Bermuda, and for 7,200, I think it's a good value. He pops as number 15 in my model.
Okay, he's 5 in mine. And the guy who's right behind him, 6th, very similar profile, very strong off the tee, strong irons, not that great around the green, is Corey Connors.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Connors, I don't know if these greens are going to be a little bit too fast for him. He's somebody that's a little bit volatile with the short game, and you can see him put up some big numbers. He's a minus putter on pretty much every surface, although Bermuda is his least bad surface.
Least bad, not good.
And he's missed his cut the last 2 times here, but he's also playing the best golf of his career in his last 5 tournaments, last 10 tournaments. He's trending in the right direction. And he's not losing as many strokes putting, and he's actually gaining around the green. So I could be going to Corey Connors this week.
Okay, Corey Connors. One name I just want to briefly touch on at the very bottom of the 7K range, Henrik Stenson, 7,000. The dude, when I just filtered by API, every single time was top 3 because he missed the cut last year, but before that, 17, 4, miscut 3rd, 2nd, 5th, 8th, 15th. Like, guy just loves this course, and every time it's on shots gained approach. I don't think he has any good form, so I'm a little afraid of it. But, you know, if you want to take a risk, this is gambling, so, you know.
Yeah, and it's $7,000. If that's something you're going to weight pretty high, that you can fit into a lot of lineups very easily right there. We moved down to the 6Ks. We ready to do that, or do we want to talk about anybody else in this range?
No, I mean, the guys I like in the 6Ks, the high 6s and the low 7s, like 7,000 exactly. So
let's go. Lead it in because I guess there is one more 7K golfer I want to talk about, and that's Chris Kirk.
Yeah, I like Chris Kirk.
He's been playing very good golf of late. Some of the best golf of his career. He had the all-important 2nd at the Sony. Sort of kept him on the tour, and his last 2 times out at the API are top 15s. He had a 13th in 2018. He had a 15th in 2019. Didn't play it last year. He also had a 12th and a 16th previously here, so he plays this course very well. I could go with Christian Kirk in this range.
Yeah, I like Kirk. Kirk's one of the ones I like. I like Keegan Bradley a little bit, but he can't putt for shit. The name I really like pops in the model is Matthew Neesmith. He is number 7 in my model. And it's kind of funny because he's not really great at anything, but he's number 1 in approach over the last 24 rounds in this field, which is wild to think with all the players that are in here. That includes, Hovland, everyone. But Matthew Neesmith, number 1 in approach, decent shots gained, par 5s, decent in the proximity ranges. So I like him at 6,900. I think it's a good value.
Yeah, definitely. His only time at the API, he missed the cut last year. But let's see other Florida comp courses. He had a 38th at the Honda right before the missed cut there.
It's a form thing. I am going with the Florida swing as a narrative for most guys. For him, it's just like he won in shots gained approach. I mean, that's enough for me at 6,900 to take him. That's insane.
Other names that we like down here at the 6K range. I like Russell Knox at 6,700. He's 18th in my model. He's 10th in approach, which is pretty important for me. And I like somebody that's going to be hitting their greens in regulation. He's 7th in GIR. I could go with Russell Knox. And if wind comes into, if it's going to be a factor, we like European golfers here. Russell Knox is a very good wind player.
Very good wind player. Guy I like, 6,700, Keith Mitchell. Last 3 tournaments, miscut. So he's not very good. How about this? Arnold Palmer, last 2 times out, 5th and 6th. Oh, wait, comp course Honda? Oh, he won that. It's just a guy who likes Florida. He has no form whatsoever. It's like complete opposite. Matthew Neesmith, not good Florida guy, great form. Keith Mitchell, no form, but great Florida course guy. So Keith Mitchell, 6,700, I think is a sneaky play.
So when we talk about staying in your lane,
I'm not staying in my lane. I'm just zigzagging, man.
No, when I do that, I'm not zigzagging. If I'm going to go with the course history lineup, I'm going with the course history lineup. I'm not picky because if something's going to play out here, you want people that are trending in the right direction. If it's recent form that's going to wind up winning it for some people, I'm leaning towards people with the same type of profile when I'm doing my builds at DraftKings.
And I'm a drunk driver. I'm on both sides of the fucking road, man. Let me zigzag all the way across. So this is guy I like. I mean, we're in the shit. This is the shit range of golfers.
This is the value range of golfers, though. This is where you're going to land on somebody like CT Pan or
Doug Gim, John Hunt.
Kyle Stanley.
I mean, Cam Champ is a decent name down here at 6,600.
Oh, it's at 66.
Yeah.
That's a party.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a great Florida guy, but he's not bad. I mean, he has missed the cut at both APIs before, and he's never played the Honda. So, I mean, I just
the model from 200 plus.
Yeah, but it doesn't play the players either. So it depends. Do you want to go course comp or do you want to go kind of, distance guy?
His last 5, he's been playing the worst golf of his career. 3 consecutive missed cuts, 48th in Mexico. He was down with the European golfers. Yeah.
I'm kind of good with this range unless you want to talk about somebody else in particular.
There's no one else that really stood out to me. Like I said, Kyle Stanley was the only other name. He was 19th in my model. And then we could throw one other name from the 6K range would be Cameron Percy. I have here he's 26th. And what's he done?
Yeah, I have Varner 60 at 23, Gim at 24. They're both 68 and 6600.
Percy's first time here at the API.
So take a chance with some of these guys. I'm probably going to go with a more balanced build and stay away from the 6K, to be honest, after we were talking about this. Maybe one guy in the 9 to 10 range, a bunch of guys in the 8s and 7s. So that's the way I'm going to do it. So let's go into our picks for the week, Chris.
Okay.
What do you got for your outright?
My outright pick, let's see, before we started recording, was going to be Matthew Fitzpatrick. I might be leaning a little bit more towards some game. I'm definitely going to be going with an international golfer here. So between Fitzpatrick and Im, I'm probably, I'll stick with my guns. I'm going to go with Fitzpatrick this week.
Okay, good. I like it. Don't be a bitch. Fitzpatrick.
Bird, who do you like?
I am going to be taking Tyrell Hatton as my outright play, especially in the betting market. He's 18 to 1. He's 4th in the field, which is kind of disrespectful for the defending champion. But hey, I'll take it. That's my outright.
Let's see. Who do you like in the top 10 now, Bird?
Ooh, top 10. Sorry, I thought you were going to go, Chris. Top 10 play.
No, put this one on you.
I'm going to go with Sammy Burns.
Okay.
Sammy Burns is my top 10 play.
Good. I like that. You're going to have good value on him. I think a lot of people are going to expect good things out of him this week. My top 10, I'm going to dig into the same exact range as you, and I'm going to go with Will Zalatoris.
Yeah, I thought about it.
Yeah. He's had a bunch of top 10s recently. What's his recent one look like? A bunch of top 20s, not as many top 10s. He had a 5 at the Shriners, 7 at the Farmers, and a 17 and a 15 after that, and 22nd last week at Mexico. But thinner field, I expect him to do a little bit better.
So I'm going to change this. I'm going to put Burns as my sleeper. And so that's my sleeper pick. I'm going to make my top 10 Paul Casey. I feel like Paul Casey's just going to show up and swing his big dick. So I'm going to do Paul Casey as my top 10, and I bet you there's a decent betting line on him, and I'll do Burns as my sleeper. But I kind of see them a little interchangeable.
Okay, so you jumped ahead of me on that. My sleeper this week, I'm going to go with somebody who's had pretty good ball striking of late, and I'm going to go with Cameron Tringale. Bermuda's not his best surface, but he has a couple of top 10s in the 2021 season, a couple of top 20s as well. So he is somebody that's third in my model. He's third in approach. Cameron Tringale.
Okay, Cameron Tringale. Top 10 to fade. I had to count it out because he is 9th on that list. Jordan Spieth, go fuck yourself. I'm going to keep fading him until he wins. That's my guy. He's not his bad Florida run, I think he's just trying to play this event because he can't play in the Players anymore because he's not good enough.
Yeah. I had to count on this one too. What did you say Spieth was?
9.
9. Damn it. Can't fade Tommy Fleetwood.
No, you can't.
All right. Just who's price number 2 here, and I don't think I think it's going to be pretty volatile. I'm going to be staying away from Bryson DeChambeau.
Ooh.
I know.
Bet all your money on Bryson, folks.
This is the one category every single week where I have been missing like crazy. So maybe I missed again. Like Bryson's missed a bunch of his fairways on Thursdays, but I need a little bit more consistent performance out of somebody who's priced second in the field, second in the betting market. So yeah, I'm going to fade Bryson here.
So I'm looking at the betting market. Spieth is 30 to 1. Bryson is 12 to 1. If I was just doing this off the betting market, I'd fade fucking Louis. Louis 25 to 1. Like, what the fuck? What are these people thinking? Anyway. 7K golfer that we like the most. Ooh, Chris. I'm going to go with. That's kind of weak. It's kind of weak, but I'm going to go with Cam Davis, right at the top there.
All right, nice. You stole mine. Good thing for me is Cameron Tringale is also in this range, but I'm not going to double up.
You can double up with Davis if you want.
No, it's not going to happen. I'm going to go with Corey Connors. I like Corey Connors. He's 6th in my model. We talked about the strength of the ball striking. I'm going to be putting him in at 7K.
Okay, and then Matthew Neesmith is going to be my 6K golfer. I talked enough about it. I think it's just a shots game 1 and approach, folks. If this is an approach course, go with it.
Yep, definitely. He's a 6K golfer that I like. I was going to steer to somebody else, but I think that Neesmith is going to be a chalky play in the 16 range. I definitely like him. I'm going to go with that.
Okay. One and done, Chris.
Patrick.
Bitsy.
I think you got to roll him out in Florida. It's going to happen. I have him as an outright. I think that you're going to get value on him this week too.
Sungjae. One and done for me. I've already got it locked in. I'm not changing it. I was saving Sungjae all year for this Florida swing. I don't want to play him at Honda again. I don't even know if he'll be there, but I will. And I think the players is out of his range right now. So I'm going with the API so that he can just complete the winning of the Florida swing.
All right.
Sungjae.
Let's go. All right. That's it. Hopefully we have the audio this week.
Yeah, we should have the audio. If not, then I'm going to really cry because I don't want to record anything all again. But I think this is going to be a good tournament. Tune in. Big money for your one and dones. Remember to rate, review the podcast. You can find us on Twitter with updated picks and preview information. Chris is at Chris Picks Golf, and I'm at Matty Mai Tai on Twitter. Anything else, Chris?
No, that's it. Yeah, I hope this records. Last week was tough.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how tough it was going to be to record solo.
Yeah.
I mean, just sitting there, you're listening to yourself. It's like the longest voicemail you've ever had. It was our first time getting into this, and yeah, it was definitely a challenge for me. A lot of starts, stops, restarts. So yeah, sorry about the quality from last week, but we're back at it, and yeah, another exciting tournament. This is like the calm before the storm because the players it's going to be a really fun week for us. Hopefully, we'll try some other stuff out with content. But that was a big week for us last year. That was the last week before the shutdown.
Well, let's say we didn't even get the full players last year, so it'll be nice to actually get that in. And yeah, I think we do a majors pool where we pick some golfers, so we might dive a little bit more into that. Maybe a little less in the DraftKings.
Exactly how we structure that. Those picks a little bit differently from some of our outrights and some of our DraftKings plays.
Yeah. So listen in next week, and we'll jump right into the players. But thanks for listening, and have a good one.
Enjoy the